I'm excited to invite everybody here to have this opportunity to listen to some wisdom from our third winner for this year at the World Champion for Public Speaking. I'm excited to have Maryam here. I've seen her journey, I've been part of her journey. She's such a great friend. So you definitely enjoy hearing some wisdom from her. Maryam, I'm really excited to have you here. So thank you for giving us this opportunity and taking time to be part of this journey with us. Our theme is prepare as a champ. That's our theme. So why not introduce our speaker now? So what I'd like to do now is start the conversation with Maryam. And I'll just start off with a very simple and straightforward question that we're all dying to find out, Maryam. Now, Maryam, how long have you been a Toastmaster?
I've been a Toastmaster exactly, I would even say around this week, exactly 2 years now.
That's impressive. And I've seen your journey and I know how you speak. You would never guess it's only been 2 years. So what motivated you to become a Toastmaster?
I joined because I was, during COVID, I remember having done a presentation at McGill University for my mentor who had introduced me to public speaking. I was speaking for his courses, and someone in his course mentioned, she said, "Hey, have you ever thought of being part of Toastmasters? I really see you doing that." So I thought of it during COVID and I said, you know what? Let me try it. Let me go online and see what I could find. I put an ad on Facebook on the main page because I made so many phone calls, nobody was answering. So I said, how can one join Toastmasters? And then somebody answered, and he happened to be the founder of the club that I eventually joined. And that's how I got in. And the reason why I wanted to do that is because I felt like, especially during COVID, I think it was really because I wanted to feel that belonging to a community of like-minded individuals, people who had similar goals, similar objectives, and shared perhaps similar dreams with me. So I thought, who knows, let me take a chance and see where that goes.
And here you are today.
Yeah.
So why did you decide to even enter a contest? Have you
Yeah.
ever competed before in something similar?
Never. I've never competed. I've always been afraid of competition because I'm so afraid of losing. And I'm just, it's my just full of fears when it comes to competing or getting into something with high pressure. But I think I started competing just because at that point in my life, I was ready to take things on. I was ready to try new challenges, new things, and I just wanted to see how far I could go in life with the new mindset that I had. And so when Scott, who's the person who introduced me to the club, the founder, and then he became my mentor as well, when he started telling me about competing, he actually spoke to me about it within a week when I was in the club. He said there's a competition, and you know what? I see you competing, and I kind of see you on the world stage, because he had heard my story, and he said you could really share your story, turn it into a powerful speech, and I believe you can make it to the world stage. And I thought, this man is being very ambitious, but I went with him, and I liked the idea that somebody believed in that, and it made me believe in myself more. And that's when I went in head first. Yeah.
Wow. Now, I'm sure everybody here who is listening knows the journey where you start off from a club
Yeah.
to area to division to district, regional, semifinals to world champion for public speaking. A lot of people are curious how your journey began, how you started writing your story, all that you did along the way. Can you just share your whole entire journey from club level all the way to the world champion for public speaking stage?
Yes, absolutely. So when I got in, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. So I thought, okay, a contest. I didn't even anticipate anything. I just went with the flow, and it's a skill that I think I learned also from having lost my sight and having gained I can say insight from my speech. I said that, or hope, is knowing how to ride the wave in life, knowing how to adapt. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to go with it. And I remember Scott telling me, one contest at a time. Let's take it one contest. And there's everything to do when there is a mentor or somebody that believes in you more than you believe in yourself. I think to me, this was, and I know it may sound unbelievable, but it was 80% of the work. It was all mental. And he would always tell me, Maryam, it's 80% psychology, 20% skill. Because I would repeat to him, Scott, I don't have the skills. I mean, I was speaking before, but I wasn't a prolific speaker per se. I don't have all the techniques. I don't have what it takes. And he would tell me, Maryam, it's 80% psychology and 20% skill. You can do it, And so that's how we started. I started zero pressure. I was just having fun. I was in all kinds of inspiration with speeches. I had all kinds of ideas. I had an idea. I had written a file. So that's one thing that I learned to do, is I made like a file, and I just wrote little themes that I wanted. One of them I wrote, be unstoppable, because that's a thing that I use often in my speeches. The other one I wrote, keep moving. It was just small things. And one of them I wrote, the straw. And I just kept it there, Eventually that became the semifinal speech. And every time I needed inspiration, I would get on the treadmill, because that's my place. Or, some people have shower thoughts. Well, I have treadmill thoughts. And I would get on the treadmill, listen to my favorite music, and get really, really inspired, and try to come up with something that I called it, that came from my soul or my heart, not from my head. And I started writing the story with the straw. That was the club level. It was so spontaneous, not overthought of. I worked a little bit on the structure, because I started binge watching all the world champions from before. So I tried to kind of embody their energy, their flow, embody the structure. I understood there was a conflict, there was a before and after, So I said, okay, what's the Maryam before? Who's the Maryam after? So I started doing that, and I just delivered it to my club. And I remember the first impression that my club members got. And I know, because I know it's my club members, but I could tell they were being genuine. Someone said, and it stuck to me the whole way through. He said, his name was Claude. He said, Maryam, this is genius. That straw is genius. This was so powerful. You don't know how far you're going to go with the story. And I thought, wow, it really worked. But I had so much work to do on it. And I remember working on it very intensely a couple of weeks before the area, because I realized there's not that much time between area division. Things go so fast. Time flies. So I remember working towards the area. I was starting to improve things. At this point, I was still just consulting my club members. I was consulting my mentor. He was a huge help to me. And I was also consulting another organization outside of Toastmasters that yourself, about it, Harriet. That's probably how we met. And I was just listening. I was observing. I wasn't really a huge participant, but observing other people getting coached and observing other people's journey helped me with mine. And I think I made some tweaks. It wasn't major. Come the area level, I go through it. And I remember I was like, oh my goodness, like did I just make it through? What is this area? And I kept telling Scott, so what's the next thing? What is it called? And he would tell me, now it's division. I said, okay, division. And then he kept telling me the big guys are going to come in when the district comes around. So that's when the real work has to be done. And I thought, okay, we'll see. We'll see when we get there, And division comes. I remember watching my area speech and thinking something. I thought, it's very unnatural. I feel like I was overdoing it. I realized I had just started learning things about myself. So watching myself really helped me. When I'm under pressure, I tend to overdo things and overcompensate. So it's not 100% natural. So I started working on that. I started watching myself and repeating. And at this point, it was just practicing over and over and over again. And I started practicing more with my club members, but I was mainly practicing in front of the camera. And when I made it through division, that's when I started wanting to implement major changes. I got some coaches approach it literally in within 15 minutes, outside of Toastmasters. It's called Stage Time University. There were some former champions like Darren LaCroix, like, Mark Brown. By fluke, they happened to have a 15-minute gap, and I raised my hand and they took me right away. I shared a couple. I didn't even know my speech by heart. I was lost completely. And they gave me a couple of pointers. So they gave me some specific techniques. So, for example, in my straw speech, I had 3 words. I understood that dichotomies and alliterations, the power of 3 was an important tool. So I used that to describe how I felt after I got diagnosed. I said disabled, disadvantaged, defective. So something, who was it? It was Darren LaCroix who said, at the end, when you transform, the character transforms, you should think of the opposite. So kind of like, I had, I think I had 1 word. He said, you could say happy, hopeful, and another one with an H. And I found whole after. And so it was small things like that that made a huge difference for me. And again, I was practicing. I wasn't really going too much outside of my club. If I had to do it again, I would definitely go outside of my club, practice everywhere I could. I was practicing in front of maybe a couple of friends. I had a very friend that I really trusted. So I went and I practiced there. She gave me some feedback. She knew me and she's not a Toastmaster. So it gave me an outside perspective of a person who's not into Toastmasters. And then I was just practicing. And I remember I have a little, funny story. I remember I didn't think of anything else but practicing, to the point where I have videos of me full on getting ready for the district with a charcoal mask on my face, for the ladies who know that, the peel off mask. And I'm practicing in front of the camera, and I have that video. And I thought, wow, what mind was I in at this point? All I could think is every minute I had, I used it to practice and to repeat my story, so I could feel like I know it by heart, and more than that it becomes me, the speech becomes me. And I went to the district, and at that point I had a really good friend accompany me. She's not part of Toastmasters. I just remember at that point I was sitting waiting for my turn. The night before I'd been practicing. The day of, in the morning, I did a little dance. I went on stage during rehearsals, counted my steps to familiarize myself with the stage, so I could feel and look confident, even though I can't see the stage very well. And I remember just the seconds before I got on stage, there's a lady next to me. Her name was Nancy Moreau. She looked at me, she told me, Maryam, I've heard your speech before. It put tears in my eyes, and I just want to tell you, be yourself. That was amazing advice. It came at the perfect timing. And I just went on the stage, and I feel like I wanted to have fun with the audience and share. I was so eager to share that story. I felt like it's a message I truly needed to share with the world and with people. And winning came as a complete surprise. I was doing this when they were announcing. I told my friend, I need to leave, I don't want to be here. I had a friend who I became friends with during Toastmasters, and because I really don't like competitions, and it just gets me so nervous, I told her I don't want to be here, and she said, well, you have no choice, you're here now, so you have to listen to the to the results. And I remember so many people came up to me the day before, after I gave the contest speech. We got the results the day after. So at the very end of the weekend, that's when we get the results. And I thought, this is torture. I mean, come on, I have to wait 48 hours to know. And I remember so many people coming up to me, congratulations, this was so beautiful. It really touched me. And it wasn't sinking in. And after the 56th person, I think that day, it was at the very end of the day, I looked at my friend, I said, you know what? Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe I did do well after all, because I was convinced I didn't do well. And then I knew that I had made it through.
Mute my audio.
Sorry. I knew that I had made it through. And from there on, I felt like that's when the real pressure was on. Actually, the real pressure is when I found that I was making it to semifinals. And Harriet was part of it. You were there. You know what that was. I was not anticipating it. Big mistake. I would never recommend this. And if I had to do it again, I would never do that again. Everybody told me, act as though you made it through. Guess what? I didn't listen because I was so sure after seeing my district recording, I was crying to my friend, telling her how horrible of a job I did. And I'm not a good speaker and I shouldn't be a speaker. And I'm such a fraud. And it's so bad. And when the judges are going to find that, they're going to change their mind, or they're going to be like, she's not making it through. So I was convinced I wasn't going to make it through. But I was with my father. He was at the hospital at the time, and my world speech is about that. And I remember sitting on the bed next to him, and I get a call, and I look at my phone, and I'm just wondering, who's that person, Okay, let me see what that's about. I'm not supposed to, but let me just answer quickly. And she so happened to be the director. And I didn't recognize her. And she said, oh, I thought I got in trouble for something, or I forgot some papers or something with my membership. But she said, oh, have you checked your emails? I said, no, I haven't had time because I was at the hospital. And then she told me, she read the email, and I was so happy. I remember crying of joy. And I looked at my father, and if any of you have seen the world speech, my father is a very overprotective Arab dad. And until today, he still acts like I'm 5 years old with so much love. I told him, Dad, I'm going to the Bahamas. I made it. And he's like, don't go, Mimi. Stay. You don't need to go. You're going to get kidnapped. You're going to get lost, And I remember that's when I had the real conversation, which I later used in my speech. So everything happens for a reason. Everything happens I believe, within its divine time. And I remember telling him, Dad, what's your greatest regret in life? My mentor told me, he said, you should ask him that question. And he said, there were opportunities that came and I never took them, and they left forever. They disappeared. And I said, Dad, that's my opportunity. That's my dream. And so he said, he gave me his blessings. He said, yeah, I was going to go regardless, but I was happy that he was happy for me. And that is kind of where I started to think of writing a second speech. And we were June 26th. Not only did I have to deal with my father being at the hospital, I had to be with him. I was writing my speech at the hospital, I remember, and asking him questions at the same time, Remember when we did this? And he's like, you think I remember? You're asking me from 30 years ago, So we were having we had such a beautiful bond at the same time. And that's when I was writing my speech. And that's when I started consulting left and right. I could describe myself. I was a chicken running with no head. I was asking every single coach possible. I spoke with Harriet for hours. She was so generous with her time. We threw ideas to each other. I worked with Mark Brown. I worked with Darren. I worked with Verity Price. I worked with Alexandre Matt. I worked with my mentor. I mean, yeah, if I could work with more people, I would have done it, but it's not a good thing to do. So eventually I had a speech. I wasn't convinced with it. Everybody was telling me to go with my first initial idea of the speech. Sorry, not the initial idea, but my second idea, which was called The Edge at that point. And something wasn't sitting with me. It just I wasn't feeling it. And 2 weeks before the contest, I decided to scrap that speech. It was 4 a.m. I woke up. My laptop was next to me on the bed with a pile of napkins because I was having an emotional breakdown, thinking, I don't know what to do. I don't even want to go anymore. I grabbed my laptop. I started writing my dad's speech, which was my initial idea, put that together, started working with Alexandre Matt with that. He read it. He told me, Maryam, this is the speech, not the one before. This is the one. So we worked on it for 2 weeks before the competition. And then made it to the Bahamas. I remember I had so many little pebbles and like little challenges along the way. I got sick in the Bahamas. flights were delayed. It was just so many things happening. And I thought, I don't know where this is going, but I'm going to just let go, let it be. I can only do what I can do. And I remember the night before the competition, I was in my hotel room. There was my friend with me, two of my friends, Patty and someone else. And then there was Darren LaCroix came in and he's like, okay, are you okay with a couple of changes? And I'm thinking, really, Darren, didn't you say don't change anything? So we kind of just applied more of the delivery. I was missing a bit of the transition, the delivery. So my speech wasn't 100% polished because it was too premature. It had only a couple of weeks work on it. It needed a lot more work. And now I'm so very aware of it. And I just remember rehearsing until 3 a.m. Of course, I couldn't even sleep all night. Even if I wanted to, even if I tried, I couldn't sleep, thinking I was competing the next day. And then the adrenaline kicked in. I made it through the semifinals. Sorry, I didn't mention the semifinals. That was a huge, like, I just couldn't believe it. Didn't even have time to go back down from the clouds and recollect my thoughts and understand what's going on. We only had a day and a half between the two contests. So just went to the world contest. I had a feeling at that point I should have switched the two. I should have done the straw at the end and my dad's speech before, but it was too late at that point. I felt it, but it was too late. So I just did my best. I went on stage. I think I wasn't even feeling nervous anymore. I was just under so much adrenaline that I was excited. And I couldn't believe this was happening, like speaking on a world stage. It was amazing. And then my name was announced third. And of course, to me, it was a disaster, but it was like a bittersweet moment. It was full of emotions coming down, emotions bubbling up. It was a beautiful moment, I would say, and an unforgettable one. I hope I gave you the answer with my
Oh, you
entire
did.
journey.
You did. I actually know your journey. So for me, I know
Yes,
exactly what you're going through. And one of the things that a lot of the people are listening to, most of us never get an opportunity to do a speech from the club or to the world. Sometimes you have to try a few times before we even get to the world stage, and sometimes we haven't. Like I started competing in 2016, and in 2022 was the first time I actually got to the semifinals. And one of the things that I found as a speaker, you practice your speech so many times. For me, I practiced it maybe it was 300 times that I actually went over and over and over again. So for yourself, what are the tips that you could recommend to some of our speakers here who may be wondering, how did she get through? You keep winning from club and on, all the way to the end. And you don't know what it's like to lose a contest, really.
that's why I was so crushed
Yeah.
at the end. It was hard because I was a hair away, like a centimeter away, and it felt like, I was sure it was God was telling me, go, child, you're gonna win, So I got a too much of a boost of confidence at the end, but that didn't work out.
Yeah.
But the tips, what is it, technical tips or how, like, the process?
Yeah, just one, two. I'm sure you're going to get questions from the audience, but I was just, if you can give one or two tips on how a person could prepare themselves. Like for you, what was the strongest thing other than, I know you had a team of people supporting you, you had coaches, you had friends, you had on and on. So that's the one thing that you felt helped you get through this whole emotional journey, because that's what it is really when you
It
think about
is.
it.
Absolutely, you're so right. It's all an emotional roller coaster. And I remember Darren LaCroix telling me it depends how you write. The winner is going to know, or he didn't say it like that, but he said it all depends how you write the roller coaster. And I think the tip to prepare is prepare as though you are already a champion.
Yes.
That's literally it. It's
Mhm.
like I was envisioning it. It's funny because I had a side of me that never believed in Maryam, always said, you're never going to make it. You're not good enough. And the other side was this child visualizing the just I didn't know what it would look like, but I just felt I would go to bed. Okay, I feel a bit weird sharing this, but I thought I would never share this, but I'm just gonna tell you. So I used to go to bed every night and repeat and literally say out loud, Maryam Ganni, world champion of and the world champion of public speaking of 2023 is Maryam Ganni. And I'm like, oh, they rhyme. Oh, it must happen this year. And I would go to bed, to repeat it to myself. And I thought, can I even find a video on YouTube where someone's, being announced and then just cut the name and just replace it with mine in my head so I could make it even more realistic. So I was really envisioning that every single day, and I was working towards that goal as though I had already made it there because I was feeling it. I was almost touching it. I was just living it every day. And that's the kind of mindset I wanted to work with. Although not gonna lie, towards the end, it turned into it was heavy at the end because there was a lot of time pressure. I wasn't ready 100%. I knew. I kept asking Alexandre, are you sure I'm ready? I don't think I'm ready. I know I'm not ready. I'm not ready. And he told me, you're ready. Trust me, you're ready. So I think the biggest advice I would give my old self is, Maryam, prepare in advance. Prepare in advance. Have something. It's never too early. It could be too late, and that's a disaster. But it's never too early. And it's great to work when you're not under pressure, because it's not just your brain that's working, it's also your inspiration. It's the true message that you want to share with the world. It's the creative side, and the creativity cannot be forced. It has to come naturally. So you really need that time to prepare. And the other thing that really helped me is to have people to ground me around me, like all these coaches and mentors. And my talk with you, Harriet, it removed so much. I had like 500 pounds of weight on me, and it felt like therapy when I spoke with you. I just felt like you need people around you at that. In my case, I liked having people around me, and I thought it was very helpful, to build that team, to feel like it's not just you going to the world championship, it's us, we're all doing it together.
I agree. I know, as far as visualizing it, I know exactly what you mean, because I know when I kept saying to myself during my contest, I said, if I ever win district, I will go all the way to semifinals.
Yeah.
And I did. I should have said finals, shouldn't I? So it's about visualizing it and actually
Yeah,
believing it. That stuff works.
it
So
does.
how did you celebrate? How did you celebrate your amazing achievement? What was the first thing you did? Did you just, oh, I'm shocked? Did you jump up? What did you do? How did you celebrate it?
I'll be so honest with you. I was in no shape or to celebrate. Like, I was sick. I was so sick on that stage. I had fever. Now I was on so much medication. So when I got back, I was still sick. And all I wanted to do is, I was thinking on the plane, I cannot wait to be in my bed. That's all I want. I just wanted to sleep because it was all these sleepless nights, and I needed to process everything. I wasn't sure if I was going to decide, I didn't even understand my own emotions at that point because it was just so overwhelming. Some people handle it better than others. I'm a very sensitive person, so I need time to process things. And I was thinking, did I lose or did I win? I hadn't decided in my head what I thought of myself. Am I a loser because I didn't make it? And it's always that voice that comes back. Why didn't I make it? So I was really going through that cycle. And then I thought, no, but this is amazing. And I was meeting people, and they wanted to know how I got there. And I thought, I'm so focused on where I wanted to go, but I forgot about everything that I've already gone through, all the way that the whole way that I got here. And so I started looking at that. And to be very honest with you, I didn't celebrate per se because I started speaking for districts here and there and clubs. But I will tell you that the moment where I felt equally as happy, and it felt like a celebration to me, was this past Saturday, the Saturday that just passed, the weekend. I got invited to speak, and I'm feel like I'm going to get emotional talking about that, but it really touched me. I spoke for kids who have visual impairments and who are blind, and some of them were blind, some of them were sighted. And it was the first time I ever got to speak. I mean, I've worked with them before at the foundation where I was a client myself for vision rehabilitation. I never spoke for them, never presented for kids. And I was really worried about that. Like, how am I going to keep them alert for 30 minutes, you know? And I had the best time of my life and I had so much fun. I felt like a child with them. I was, giving them candy. I, bought their love with candy, of course. I got them little canes, little candy canes, because I thought, white cane, candy cane. I had straws that I gave to everybody. And we spoke about their favorite superheroes. I really connected with them. And at the end, I had a child who one specific one came to see me and she said, I'm never going to forget your story ever again. And I'm always going to keep the straw forever. And I had tears in my eyes. And to me, this was my celebration. I understood why I got that, third place or the trophy or the whatever, the win. It was to feel, to experience, and this very moment. Yeah.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I see
30
a comment.
minutes. 30 minutes.
Thank you.
Okay, excellent. So I see a question here from our time, Alu, and could you explain the significance of the straw for those who didn't see it? Because I don't know if some of our guests have seen your speech, so maybe you can just give
the straw
some context of what the straw represents.
Okay, I have it right here. I've been using this one because it works. I guess it works. I had to really think which straw, and I ordered like 20 straws from Amazon, and I was like, what about this one? What about that one? At the end, I went with the most simple one, so I guess simplicity is really key. It really is. So the straw speech describes the visual impairment, the condition that I have, which creates a tunnel vision. With time, it starts going inwards until it becomes like looking through a straw hole. And I wanted people to get the idea of my visual impairment, but also to use that as a tool to say, it all depends where you choose, because I was looking through the straw in my speech to see what my future would look like. And I thought, well, I could look at the ground where there's no light. And someone made me, realize that I could look towards where there's light. I was on a plane and I looked through the window to look at the sky. And I said, even if I have a tiny little hole, that's all that's left. I still have a choice to point it towards darkness or towards light. And then I gave it to the audience and said, where will you point your straw? That was the overall speech.
Yeah.
My story, my journey.
Yeah. And I saw that speech evolve. My goodness, it
Oh,
evolved
yeah.
quite a lot. Yes. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open it up to our members and guests to ask any questions they would like to ask of you. So if anybody wants to throw in, you can either type it on the chat or you can raise your hand up and I will call you up. Let's see if it's ready yet.
I'm willing to take questions, comments, or insults.
Yeah, she's a trooper. She can handle it. Mary, did you have a question? I saw.
Yes. Are we going to be able to hear the straw speech?
Well, I don't know. I would love to, but I don't know if the time allows it. I mean, it is on YouTube, or I can come back, or I'm open to anything.
Yeah, I think for the sake of I suppose it's up to everyone, but I think it is on YouTube if you like to listen to it, and you can just maybe take more questions. You can get more value for the meeting.
YouTube isn't like your real being there, though.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I can come back whenever you like.
Yeah, we can do that. Oh, Lou, you have your hand up. Oh, sorry, Maryam, did you say something? I cut you off. I spoke over you.
No, don't worry. I'm so sorry. I just said I can come back whenever you like me to, and I can give you another straw speech.
That's right. Okay,
my hand is just raised as the timer. My apologies.
Oh, okay. All right. So I see Hannah is next, and then Jeanette will be shortly after that. Go ahead, Hannah, you have the virtual stage.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Harriet. And thank you so much, Miriam, for coming to do this interview. I watched both of your speeches and I was incredibly moved by them. One of my questions is, did you, when you were starting to compete at the club level and going to take it just that one contest at a time, did you kind of already have in mind what you wanted to talk about and what you wanted to share? Or how did you go about choosing your topics and choosing what you wanted to compete with?
Okay, thank you so much. I love that question, and I have a feeling I need to really write a whole keynote about it, just to help others in any way, shape, or form. But the pressure to find a theme, a topic, or a speech is the worst feeling on earth, in my opinion. It's the biggest killer of creativity. So because I saw the evolution, so at the beginning I didn't have that pressure, it's afterwards. So I saw when working under pressure to be creative, it's a disaster. So what I did is I started with asking myself, what is the one message that I want to leave the world with, or people with, or anyone? What would I want to tell? If that was my last day, and I know Mark Brown says that, he said, if it was the last day, God forbid, 1,000,000 times, of your life, what would you want to leave the world with? And I was already thinking like that. And I had kept that message in my heart. I didn't have the exact words, I had the feeling associated with it. I knew that one day I wanted to overcome my visual impairment, the challenges, and the change my mindset around it so that I could tell that story. And I wanted to share that pain and that power with people. And I just knew that it was an emotion that I had to translate into words. So I wanted to put hope into a sentence. That was my message. Then the next step I did, which is very, very important in my opinion, is just write a story. And I remember Scott, my mentor, said, just write your story, because everybody has a story. You know your story, you know your challenges. Pick a place in your life, a time. It's like chapters, right? And that was one chapter of my life. So I looked at that one chapter and I told the story. And then I started to edit in a speech format, right? So that's when I started applying techniques and this. But if I didn't have the story, I wouldn't have been able to start writing an actual speech with a structure. So I would just say, write the story. That's the best thing. If I had to do it again, I would do it like that again. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And sorry, I just wanted to add one more thing, because you said, how did you find the topic? I wanted to, if I can give you that also, I did create like a file. It was literally so simple. I'm very simple. I'm not tech savvy. I go on my notes and I create an empty note for each one. I give it a title and give it a couple of words of the idea. Like, it's a flash. Like, I remember having a flash that I called "You Have No Idea," because my dad would repeat to me, "You have no idea how much I love you." So it was just that. And then I put some pointers, funny dad, line, just little lines, kind of like bullet points. And I would leave it, move on to the next idea, do that. And then I would revisit and see what I feel closest to. So kind of create like a notes file with all your speech themes and ideas.
Wonderful. Thank you for that, Hannah. Now we have Jeanette, and then Vocal Jim will be next after that.
Thank you. Miriam, I just want to say, first of all, I was at the semifinals you competed in, and you struck a chord with me on your speech. I was like, oh my God, she's going to the stage. She's going to the world stage. And I'm so glad you did. Second of all, I'm curious to know, after you won the district level, what happened, and did a bunch of people come to you and say, I want to coach you? Or how does the coaching part, or where does the coaching part come in when you win after a world stage? Or is it after you find out about regionals, or where does that start in the coaching level?
Yes, so thank you so much for that. I remember one coach reached out to me after I had won the district. So because it's general knowledge, I'm assuming it's probably on the website or something. So coaches do, they come up, I received a message on Messenger, remember, saying, oh, it's, good job, you made it to the next step, to the finals, and you only have 50 days left, that. And I'm like, thank you for telling me this. I didn't I didn't want to know the days, but yeah, I felt like it was a time bomb. And they approached me. Some of them did, not all of them, of course. Other ones I already knew about because I had watched their final speech, and I kind of connected with that person, and I
Gotcha.
went up to them. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay, thank you.
All right, so we still have about 10 minutes to answer questions. So if you have that question that you're dying to ask, feel free to do. Next, we'll go to Jim. Go ahead, and you have the virtual stage.
Thank you, Harriet. I know when I get coached, the hardest thing for me, I'm curious if maybe it was for you as well, is when the coach starts asking me questions that probe into deeper and deeper subjects about who I am.
Yeah.
And what I've discovered is that whether I win or lose, that the speech preparation actually teaches me something about myself. So I'd be curious, in your process, were there some new things that you discovered about yourself, not as a speaker, but as a human?
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. I'm loving this conversation because I've never actually been so vulnerable with anyone else. So thank you so much. I feel completely comfortable doing that here. Um, yes, I discovered so many things, and I learned so much. And I didn't believe when people said, you're going to evolve. It's all about the experience. I'm like, yeah, right. It's so easy for you to say you're a world champion. And then I understood that there is growth, and there are things that you gain. And it gave me more confidence knowing who I was. But I realized that I don't want to say I am, because when you say I am, in my case, I feel like it's like a doom, but I can be in certain situations extremely indecisive, and I feel paralyzed when I come to not a dead end, but like when something is really, really, when this big pressure is on and I have to perform in my head, I want to overperform. I want to over exceed my own expectations, and I see it as a huge mountain to the point where it paralyzes me. And that paralysis translates into indecision, procrastination, and kind of overwhelm and emotions that it doesn't put me in the right state of mind to work. So I thought if I had to, go through this again, or through anything like that again, I would know how to deal with it better. So I would probably do things that I love. I would get outside of my zone, go get some exercise, maybe even go out with friends. Even though I was so obsessed with doing the work, I would give myself a bit of a break. So it's just these little things that I learned about myself, that it was so hard for me to make a decision which speech. And I realized also that I think a lot of people have it. I don't want to assume everyone here, but the fear of failing, just hearing the word, if you don't make it, I think at some point I called one of my friends, and I literally almost had a panic attack, thinking like, what if I don't make it? Everyone wants me, everyone is telling me, let's go, you can do it, we believe in you. And I'm like, the more people tell me that, the more pressure, it's putting on me, and I'm putting on myself. So the fear of failure for me was really, really big. And I realized that I'm also really hard on myself, and that was a double-edged sword. It is what brought me all the way, but it's also what could have destroyed my my path, my growth. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Marian. Marian, your coach is here, Coach Alexandra.
Oh God.
So you better watch yourself, eh?
Yeah, exactly. I only said good things.
He's there, I see him. So I'm not sure if he wanted to say something
Hi.
shortly. Yeah.
Hello,
There he
Maryam.
is.
Hello.
So that was one of Maryam's coaches right there. You were second place 2 years ago, right? Second
Last
place.
year.
Yeah,
Second.
1.5 year ago, 2022.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
second place. Yeah. Wonderful. So thank you for also being here and to come here to support her. And I see a lot of in the comments, there's a lot of people who saw Maryam, they saw your speech, you inspired them. So there's a lot of huge supporters. So you're in the right place. This is your tribe.
Yeah, exactly. And I have to say, Alexandre has been like, because at some point Scott said, Maryam, I can only take you to the district. I can't take you past the district. And I said, Scott, you said it's 80% psychology, 20% skill. You can definitely take me. And he said, no, you have to go with the real pros now. And I remember when Alexandre came into the whole game, which was 2 weeks before, because I was panicking, it really took a whole turn. So I just wanted to say thank you, because it makes a huge difference to have a coach. It makes all the difference. It really does. I don't even know how Jocelyn, the world champion, made it without, because she said she didn't get coach. I don't know how that happened.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'd recommend definitely coaching makes a difference.
Yes.
Yeah, and Alexander's a good one too. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Now I see we have a question from, and if I mispronounce your name, I'm asking for forgiveness first. Wilhelm? Did I
Yes,
get it
very
right?
right.
Excellent.
Yes,
Go
thank
ahead.
you.
Yeah, awesome. Go ahead.
Thank you, Maryam. Should I say salam alaikum?
Alaikum assalam.
Anyway, I love your story, and I love your authenticity. I'm in Houston. I can feel it all the way here in Houston. And congrats for for your great performance. And I love the advice you gave about writing short notes about stories. I do that a lot. The problem is I can't find my notes, but it's something that I'm dealing with. Anyway, I had a question for you. Is there something after all this great job that you've done? Is there something in your life that is frustrating or keeps on coming and frustrating you now that, a lot of people know who you are, and deservedly so?
Something in my life that keeps coming back. The feeling, the same feeling. It's so funny. And Alexandre told me, Scott told me, so many people told me, you're not going to feel any different if you win. If all you're focusing on is the win because you want to win, you're still going to feel the same way. And it's funny because the same feeling of the imposter or the fraud or the not good enough, it's still there with me regardless. I think even if I had the first place, I would probably be walking around saying, oh, this must have been a mistake. I don't even know what they were thinking. So I think that is frustrating because I still have to live with it. The day that I gave that speech to the kids over the weekend, right before stepping on stage, I was looking at, the audience and the kids, and I said, who am I to speak for these people? And I thought, Maryam, don't go back there again. Don't do that again to yourself. Just go and just do it, And it was one of the best moments ever. So I think that keeps coming back, and it's a challenge, and it's something I need to keep definitely working on.
Thank you. And I wish you the best in
Thank you so
overcoming
much.
that. I'm sure you will. Thanks.
Thank you.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
I also see another champ over here. Nite, is also here coming as well to cheer you on.
Oh,
Everybody's here.
Nitai.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm so
Yeah.
happy because he was one of the people I listened to his speeches. I remember. Yes, very
He said,
memorable.
hello.
Hi. Thank you for inspiring me.
See, the tribe keeps growing.
Yes.
Yeah, we're
love
on yellow. So Camille's got a hand up. So go ahead and ask your question. You got the virtual stage.
Good evening. So, my question really is, if you were to start over in Toastmasters today,
Yes.
what are some key things that you would recommend that can really set someone on the path to hitting the world stage?
Thank you. I would not wait, just not wait for anyone or anything to tell me how to do, what to do, where to go. I would straight ahead take the lead with my, the material, whatever is provided, level 1, level 2. And, I just wanted to complete level 2 to compete. But I didn't really focus on completing level 3, 4, 5, whatever, the whole thing. And I think that is where the real growth happens, is really to go, to not waste any time. I would not miss, and I didn't miss many. I really, really can count them on my fingers. But if I could not miss, I could miss 0 meetings, I would miss 0 meetings. And the real work, in my case, happened in between the meetings. It's when whatever I learned from my mentor or from my club members, I would apply it in between. All these resources that were sent out to me, Lisa Nichols' workshop, this person's 2-minute thing, 30-second rule, 5-second rule, whatever those coaches talk about, I would put it all together and I would start applying it. I would practice in front of the mirror, even though I can't see myself. I don't know why, it's just psychologically it works. And just doing the work in between the meetings, I would do that. And one last thing, I know we're running out of time, but I think this is important. A lot of people spoke about it. Journaling. It doesn't have to be like a long thing. I hate writing. I can't even see what I write, so there's no point, but I type it. Sometimes I just speak into a voice memo. But I think journaling, every moment that you feel has touched your heart, anything, a conversation with someone, a bird you saw that inspired you, whatever that is, if you take the time to write it down, it will be so much easier to get a story out of it and to be able to get more inspiration when you're writing a speech.
All right, thank you for that. Thank you, Camille, for the question. And I see Nitya is also raising his hand. Do you have a question or a comment?
I just have a quick comment. And apologies, I can't put my camera on. I'm just not able to at the moment. I just wanted to say thank you for Maryam. That was very inspiring. And I loved your speeches in the semi-final and the final. I cannot wait to see what you do next. Well done.
Thank you. Wow. Is this recorded? I'm going to keep it forever.
It's on record. Yes, you can get
Thank
a copy
you so
of
much.
it.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
You get a lot of support. We hope to see you again next year. The other thing that I also can give tips to everybody else, and I think you mentioned it, is whatever speech you have, I would recommend you go to different clubs to try it out, to make sure that your speech is international.
Yes.
Because it may be good for North America, but when you go somewhere else, maybe Australia, it's not very international. There may be some words that you need to change as you go along.
Yeah.
Is there any more question? We are right on red. I see we're just running out of time. So I guess what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna let Maryam say the last few words before we close off, because you're right on red.
Thank
so
you.
Maryam, gonna be quick. This is a Toastmaster. Don't go over time. Go for it.
I would say whenever the question comes up of why would it be me, switch it around and say, why wouldn't it be me?